The Red Bull driver program often leaves me a little bit confused. It's constantly changing. My F1 heart is telling me that there should be more opportunity and seats available, that they should get the opportunity for the whole season, and that these opportunities should be equal. However, my F1 head is telling me that it's just not the case, and it's not actually that practical. The Red Bull Racing team are all about winning, marketing, branding, Max Verstappen, PR, Max Verstappen. Oh wait, I was meant to say the other driver, Sergio Perez. Well, at least at the time of filming this. What is clear is that it's Max's world when it comes to Red Bull racing, and the second driver often struggles to max match when it comes to wins, race pace, qualifying, and just getting the job done. Nobody would blame you for thinking that the Red Bull Racing Academy setup is just ruthless. But looking at the finer detail of it all, there have been some points that have really surprised me, and it just got me thinking, is the Red Bull Racing driver program really that savage? Welcome to the Racing House. My name is Saki, and keep watching to find out what I really think about the Red Bull Racing program and some key bits of information that may just change your opinion on the whole program. We need to look right at the top of the Red Bull Racing driver program. They're very much loved Helmut Marko. Yep, I'm being a little bit cheeky there because he often divides opinion. A lot of people know that he used to be an F1 driver himself, and for me, him and his generation of drivers probably indicates to his philosophy leading this driver program. Throwing it back to 1971 and 1972, he actually raced for different teams in the same year. It was commonplace for drivers to chop and change between teams. For example, in 1971, there were 50 drivers for 22 teams. 44 drivers in 18 teams in 1972. The driver market was just completely different. Similar to 2020, where Nico Hülkenberg was required to step up and fill the void where drivers were absent due to illness. What does this mean for the man running the Red Bull Racing driver program? I feel like the period after they entered the sport and eventually got established as one of the top teams, they effectively revolutionized the driver market, where they try and create as much competition as possible and create a shine or decline environment, where all drivers who enter the program are given the backing to develop, rise to the top, get into potentially the AlphaTauri team, and eventually get promoted to the top team, Red Bull. And then the drivers who can't cope get demoted or dropped from the Red Bull Racing program completely in itself. Looking at this from a business point of view, for me, this is a really efficient way of doing business for them and managing their driver program. Because we need to remember, they're investing millions and millions into each of the drivers that they're signing up. So it's a business decision, and this opportunity just doesn't exist on this sort of scale elsewhere in the sport. You could potentially say Ferrari indirectly, but it's just not on the same level. And which young driver who has the offer of financial support, the offer of driving for AlphaTauri, and then potentially the top team, would turn that down in their right mind? Because each of those drivers coming up in the sport know how elusive the F1 seat can be. Overall, I think the fact that they create 4 seats in this sport is huge, and it can't be underestimated. Now, people will argue that they've let a lot of decent drivers go, which I'm not denying this is true, but you need to look at it on the flip side. Looking at the current F1 driver lineup, you really see the importance of that Red Bull Academy, because almost a third of all drivers on the lineup have come from their academy or have driven for one of their teams in the past, which is huge. What about the drivers that have left the driver program and the sport after making it to F1? I find this list really interesting because it isn't actually all doom and gloom and have gone on to have a career outside of F1. Although they may not have the skill or pace to be successful, or it might just not work out for them during their time in F1, they can still go on to show their ability and skill in other race series, which is a key point for me. For example, you just need to look at Buemi winning Le Mans and the WEC Championship twice, and then you've got Jean-Eric Vergne, who's won multiple Formula E titles in his career outside of F1, which is amazing. So from this list, you can see that they really do produce and nurture some really good drivers, even if they aren't racing in F1. And then there's the success that they've had. They've nurtured championship winning talent in the form of Sebastian Vettel, and then there's the potential for people like Max Verstappen to step up to the plate and secure a title in future. And with Max himself, you get my next reason why I don't think the program is actually that savage. Max has definitely changed the sport in the way that he's come into the sport so young, driven beyond the car, and really just shown his ability on a consistent basis, which young drivers often struggle to do. He is so good that we often see most of his teammates struggle against him. In addition to this, you could actually say that the Red Bull team have bet the factory on Max, but you could say it's working. Red Bull are managing to outperform their closest rival in recent years while spending quite a significant amount less approximately $100 million less each year. And they've recently upped Max's salary. Let's be honest, they're investing in him, because when you're paying a young driver approximately $25 million, you're investing heavily and you're going to back them fully. So it doesn't matter what any other driver in their program's doing. When you're paying someone that amount, they're going to take priority. But should it be to the detriment of the second driver in that team? Well, the answer is no, it shouldn't be. But any driver entering that team knows what the deal is, and they need to be able to sort it out in their own head and deal with it themselves. And Max Verstappen is probably a huge argument to why they are actually quite savage as a driver program, because of the bias towards him. They are investing so much money into him as a driver purely by paying that huge salary, and it's something that needs to be taken into consideration. And this is key to the point. How many drivers on the grid will be capable of just plodding along, knowing that one, he's just a massively gifted driver, two, he's their #1 driver, and three, you're just not going to have a car that is as good as his. And Red Bull have pretty much come out and admitted that this is the case, because they came out and said that they needed to make Alex Albon's car in 2020 as good as Max Verstappen's. And if you can give Max what he wants in terms of equipment, why can't you do that for an Albon or a Perez? There's clearly a lot going on in the background. They've made this investment in Max Verstappen's salary. There's going to be information and agreements that we're just not going to find out. I think we're so used to seeing a driver race each race until the end of the season and not really having that chopping and changing between drivers. For us, it can come across as very savage. And to answer the question, do I actually think personally they are that savage? From a business point of view, the answer would be no. But from an appearance point of view, the answer can only be yes, because of the way that they operate so differently to most teams, and the opportunity that they create and that efficiency that they aim for. No F1 fan wants to see a driver lose their seat mid-season. If you don't make the cut and you can't bring the performance to the table, they'll just move you on and bring in someone else who can do that on a lesser salary. Someone who's got that ability, has got that hunger to really take it to Max Verstappen and be able to at least match him and bring home those points for the team. I also think the Red Bull Racing program just doesn't come across that great when you compare them to other teams in the sport. Most other teams just don't have that two-team setup linked to the driver academy where you'd see them switch between teams during the year. For drivers that don't have the greatest season in that F1 car, when they do get promoted into the team or make it to the sister team, they can still say that they have been an F1 driver, and it will create masses of opportunities for them in other race series. So like we've seen, it's not all doom and gloom. Your career just doesn't disintegrate as soon as you leave F1. There are many opportunities for you. But there is one area that relates to the driver program that really can't be defended. It's probably the way that they approach their change in drivers when they are making that decision. Red Bull seem to take the approach where they'll tell us someone's driver's safe, and then lo and behold, a few races down the line, they'll have changed them round or dropped them. But I guess that's their approach. I just know that it really just creates a lack of trust between fans and what the bosses are saying. If you're being asked the question and you don't get an answer that is in line with the actions that are taken later on down the line, it's just a bit of a weird move, and it comes across as being savage. I've got a question for you. Do you think that the Red Bull Racing program is that savage? Do you think I'm missing any key points? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I really want to hear from you. So that just about finishes off my video about the Red Bull Racing program and whether it is actually that savage. I really do hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to ensure that you get all my latest videos.